All right. YouTube's good to go. What's up, YouTube? Facebook's good to go. All right. Awesome. Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is Tuesday. It's about 12 o'clock. That means it's Bill, the CEO. And today I get to hang out with a guest, which is way more fun than me talking for 20 minutes. So I've got I would call Jakob at this point a good friend. I mean, we've shared the Russian banya together. So like that's the next level of friendship. And so I'll have Jakob do a little introduction here in a second, but I want to kind of talk about how we even came to this. So Jakob is the founder of MacrosFirst. And if you listened last week, I had Eve Guzman on, who is like I call her the macro queen. And so she is teaching people about macros. She's certifying coaches. She's done an incredible job, certified thousands of coaches. And so we were at an event, I believe it was Raise the Bar in Texas. I think it was Dallas. And we had an event, we were sponsoring it. And Eve came up to us at the table and was just like, "Hey, have you heard of MacrosFirst? Like, have you heard of these guys?" I'm like, I've never heard of them. And so like, I got to introduce you. I got to introduce you to these guys. And so I don't know. Eve made an email introduction, and then we kind of hit it off from there. And so we've got a really cool thing with MacrosFirst in that like we have a two-way integration, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go in. But Jakob, you were kind of, when we talk about macros, maybe a little bit late to the game, right? MyFitnessPal has been around for a while. So what made you want to create MacrosFirst?
Yeah, I created it because the year was like 2017. I was a CrossFitter, and back then, like a good CrossFitter went paleo and stopped eating carbs and got shredded and looked awesome, and then stopped performing. And so that wasn't very sustainable for me. And then I hopped into Renaissance periodization, the RP diet, which was all about meal timing and carb cycling and macros. And as I was trying to follow this diet, and again, at the time, this was years before RP had their own app. Funny story about that, actually. I was trying to design my meals. So, I pulled down MyFitnessPal or MyMacros or, any of the other kind of popular apps at the time. And the thing that like killed me was I was just trying to design a meal that had 60 grams of carbs for my post-workout recovery. The question I had was, how much rice do I need to eat, or sweet potatoes or whatever, to hit that? And in all of these freaking apps, it was throwing darts, right? Like it'd say, how much did you eat? And I'd say, I don't know, a cup of rice. And it was like, that's 40 grams of carbs. Okay, fine, 1.5. Well, I should have made it harder, but yeah, these 60, but you had to like throw darts on your serving size to get right. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I created a spreadsheet where that did this like macro math for you. It was a solver, a very simple little solver with like my hand-coded database. I shared this in the diet Facebook group I was on. The thing went freaking nuts. It was like my first and only viral moment on the internet. I put a little link at the bottom of like, hey, maybe there's an idea here. Maybe there should be a nutrition app that lets you solve. And so that as a side project, as a nights and weekends thing, we created, me and my co-founder created MacrosFirst, and really not as a company, but more just as a fun tool to keep me sane in my day job in tech in Silicon Valley. And this thing just continued to grow and grow and grow. And thanks to folks like Eve and a few of the other early coaches we partnered with to kind of kick things off, and the rest is sort of history. So it was kind of that one little insight. That was like the whole reason, like, why create another nutrition tracker? And the answer was they weren't asking the right question.
Right. Which like, I mean, this is part of Coach Catalyst's origin story too. We were kind of solving our own problem in that, from a coaching standpoint. We couldn't coach at scale. We couldn't educate at scale. We couldn't hold people accountable at scale, and technology was the only way to do it. So very similar. It was an interesting way that you launched it, right? You didn't go say, hey, I'm going to go raise money and then build this thing and raise $1 million and hopefully sell this thing down the road. It was like, oh, I'll just create this little spreadsheet and then see if people want it. A bunch of people raise their hand, and okay, one thing led to another.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it wasn't, yeah. No one would and probably still wouldn't give us any money. Well, maybe now it's because things have changed quite a bit since we've been in the game so long. But it was like a community tool. It was like, hey, it's just, this thing solved a problem. Maybe there's a there, and we could build it, turn it into something. And it's kind of funny, like the very first version of it, believe it or not, didn't even, like the first app we put in the app stores, there was no food log. It was purely like a meal plan builder. And I'll never forget, like the very first like customer support email we received was like, how do I track my macros per day? So it was kind of yeah, the origin story is very unique and totally misguided because it really solved like I solved my own problem too much, you know. So, but it was, you know, needless to say, the next release was, yeah, we added like meal tracking and scheduling, and it evolved from there.
I mean, at this point, it's a full blown app. But I think the lesson in that,
Totally,
right,
yeah.
for coaches is, you know, launch something before you're ready. Right. The first iteration of something that you launch, a program or this or that, like you should almost be embarrassed by the first iteration. And if you're not, you probably took way too long to launch, because you're going to iterate along the way, and the market's going to kind of tell you what they actually want versus us trying to predict it from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper to do it that way too, right?
Yes,
Like
it is.
you get your reps in, you learn faster, you
Right.
make little tweaks and changes, and yeah. So
one unique thing that you guys did from, and we'll just call it from a marketing standpoint, right? Instead of being a direct to consumer, well, you are direct to consumer, but like you didn't launch this to just anyone that was interested in macros. You kind of decided that, hey, we're going to partner with coaches, and we're going to provide a tool for coaches to be able to give to their clients. So give me a little insight into kind of that decision in partnering with coaches, because you're really the only ones that do it in this way.
yeah. Well, that was originally born out of sort of constrained resources, like as a you know, a little side hobby project with no venture money raised, and really not self-funding it more in terms of our time than, you know, I wasn't like writing big checks to like run ads or anything. You know, we couldn't do marketing campaigns against a MyFitnessPal. You know, I wasn't going to like run a Facebook ad and, you know, click here, best new tracker. Like it just wasn't, we were outgunned. And frankly, I didn't think like that sort of messaging carried the sort of like sincere, honest weight that like someone would want to see in order to make the switch. So out of necessity, we started like, I mean, in the early days, cold DMing coaches. And it wasn't with any sort of, the only pitch, I wasn't actively selling anything. We didn't and still don't actively sell a paid product to coaches. The pitch was just like, hey, you are a nutrition coach. I know there are problems in the tools that like your clients are using, MyFitnessPal chiefly. Here they are, and here's what makes us different. Would you give us a look? And that's exactly how I met Eve. And it's kind of funny. I remind Eve like every time I see her, like our DM history was like, it was like 2017, 18 of like, hey, like a bunch of unresponded to from Jacobs. And then I think it was like 2021, we synced up, and she, you know, gave me the time to check it out. I was like, oh yeah, this is better. But yeah, it was working through coaches was just a much more efficient go-to-market for us. And it was a cool, like true mutually beneficial thing where I wasn't saying, hey, talk to me so you can give me money, because that's immediately like an arming conversation, right? It was more, we have a tool. I want to earn the position. I want to earn the privilege to be in your toolkit that you use and recommend with clients. And that's just proved to be a great model for us. One, it's efficient. Two, it keeps us on our toes, because coaches are, like the best users, right? Like they really push us to be better. So we're learning a lot and building for them. And then the coaches are also like, it's, I find it's an incredibly tight community. Like coaches are really excited to share a tool with each other, with their clients. And so that's helped us really kind of grow. And while doing so, growing in like a really trusted way. Like, again, I'm not like, we're not hitting them up of like bias. It's, we're better. Here's why, check it out, try it. And so that's then just given us this like incredibly, like just totally invaluable, like clout, I think, in the industry. That is now kind of fuels and powers a lot of our direct to consumer marketing, because, on social, folks can see in our feed all the reposts we do, all the shout outs we get from the coach community that we support and care about so dearly. Like there's a massive halo effect.
Right. Yeah. There's credibility, right? The people that they follow on the socials, their influencers, whatever, if this is what they recommend, and they recommend it because a friend of theirs recommended it, and then ultimately it's actually better, right? And so if you get a recommendation and it's not actually any good, then that recommendation is worthless. But having a great product, which you guys do, is what makes it work, right?
And I don't think there's a better recommendation than like from a coach, because like, if you in our space, most of the influencer marketing or paid ads, it's like some shirtless dude in the kitchen, like chopping broccoli and chicken, is like, this app rules, check it out.
Right.
And you can see through that. But when it's like, Coach Trevor talking about how he uses this with his clients and why he made the switch and why his clients love it and how it's boosted compliance. Like that's invaluable. That's authentic. And it's like so relatable in the coaching, coach to coach too. So,
right. Well, let's get into the actual, like, what makes MacrosFirst different, because I think that is a big piece of it, because you will get lumped into the MyFitnessPal, who's probably the market leader, Chronometer, and then the few of the other ones that fall in there. And so, like, what makes, like, if you had to give me like top three, what are the three things that if someone is like, tell me why MacrosFirst is different, what do you give me?
Yep. So numero uno is our food database is 100% verified. So that means everything in it has gone through human verification, or it's coming from like a trusted government source like the USDA or a lab tested setting from a university. And so there's no user generated content nonsense. Like, I like to use the banana example. You search for banana in MyFitnessPal, there's like 27. You search for banana in MacrosFirst, there's one, and it's trusted. And so that's simple, but it goes a huge way. And I think, coaches listening can probably relate. Like one of the biggest stumbling blocks that gets in front of a client is like, am I doing this right? Like, especially if someone's new to nutrition, new to tracking, new to paying attention to what they're eating, like they want to have confidence in what they're doing and that they're doing it right. And nothing undermines that faster than like, oh, the nutrients were wrong on this food. So that's first and foremost. Second, we've just designed like an incredibly fast food logging flow, fewest taps, most direct navigation, most simple like presentation of serving sizes and adjustments, including that reverse engineer your serving size feature I was talking about before. You can even interact with this directly on your food log. So like as you log, rice, you can on your food log just tap on the number of carbs and change it to whatever, or tap on the serving size or change it. We've really recently in the last year made some major enhancements on top of our already amazing food logging flow and added voice search, so you can just like speak the foods you're eating, AI image search, so you can take a picture of your plate and we will analyze what's in it and provide the right food matches. Which, by the way, a little different spin on that is when you use that feature on our app, we're actually querying against our verified food database, which is very different from a lot of these like AI slop. I don't know, but I'm sure my Instagram feed's a little different than everyone, but mine is just like advertisement for AI nutrition app. All those guys are taking the picture, sending it to ChatGPT, praying that it hallucinates back the right nutrition. Whereas what we're doing is we use AI to analyze the contents of the plate, but then match that up against our verified food database for trusted results. So that's a different spin on and really accelerates the food logging flow. And I know some coaches on here are probably like, yeah, but you'll never know the oils in the salad dressing. That's true. It's not, I wouldn't say this is like the magic bullet, but it does accelerate the process for people. And it's super easy for a user if they wanted to like swap or add, a missing food or ingredient. So
let's talk on that for a second, right? So if I did take a picture, right, it's just going to pull up broccoli, mashed potatoes, chicken thigh, and then it's probably is it trying amounts? Is it trying to like estimate amounts too?
Oh yeah.
But it might not see the butter that's in the mashed potatoes, but I could just enter in butter. But instead of me having to type in broccoli, enter mashed potatoes, enter, right, it just all flows, right?
Yeah, totally. So it's like it makes the process faster. It's pretty darn good. I don't want to like undersell it. Like it's just it'll never be perfect because it doesn't know the full ingredients, especially in a sauce or soup.
Just curious on the amounts. Like how close does it get? Like have you tried to like stump it? Have you tried to test it a little bit and see, like weigh it out, put it on a plate and see like how close it gets?
Yeah, it's usually like on if the plate is like discrete items, so like you build a plate that has like a pile of rice, a pile of chicken breast, a pile of broccoli. It's pretty good on the rice portion in particular. For the meat, it usually will go to grams or something. It'll like, and it's not it yeah, it was like last time I checked it, it was within like 15 grams the serving size. And then on the rice, it's doing typically more of a volume measure, so it'll be like a cup of rice, which was approximate, and that's about a fist. So it's kind of the same, thumb, finger, pinch, whatever, a palm. Like it's kind of using that, and it's pretty darn close. Yeah,
that's cool. And that'll probably only get. I mean, as cameras get better and that kind of stuff, that stuff will probably only improve.
Yeah, and the models, and we're already like kind of embarking on our like second version of it, where we're kind of making a bunch of concurrent calls to like fill in gaps. So if it finds a food that's not in our database, we're going to be reaching out to populate the missing bit. So
cool.
Yeah, huge advances there. So it's very cool, very fast.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And, I'd say like the other big one, I mean, we have a bajillion features that are in our free tier that other apps charge for. So like setting your macros in grams for the day, unlimited custom recurring meals. So if you were, a regular Gen Pop person, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or a bodybuilder with meal 1 through 10, you can set that up for free. You can set up meal level targets. Our barcode scanner is free. The ability to share and receive meals is free. As a coach, if you follow your clients in the app, like maybe you're not on Coach Catalyst with like the full client management dashboard, and you're want to do it a little scrappier in app, like when you follow a client, you can see their reports over time. So not just the granular food log, but actual trend reporting. So it's just a ton of like quality of life features like that are typically paywalled in other apps, and we've made them free. Last one too, I'll say, and I mean, it's very subjective, but we're focused on nutrition, which means that we don't have a lot of bloat. We're not trying to track all the things, we don't track workouts at all. We stay focused on nutrition, which has, that translates into like very thoughtful, intuitive, focused user experience. It's just a pretty easy to navigate app experience that, surprisingly, especially in the nutrition space, I think is increasingly kind of rare. A lot of these apps have gone off in all kinds of crazy directions, or haven't been touched in a few years or something like that. And we take a lot of pride in our like design and aesthetic, and people feel that.
And I want to speak to that a little bit on this idea of staying focused, because this is a question that comes up to us a lot at Coach Catalyst, because we don't have a macro builder inside of Coach Catalyst. There are other people in the space similar to Coach Catalyst that do, and it's okay. It's not great, but it is okay. And that's what happens as you start to expand, like your width starts to get wider, right? Like you just become average at everything because there's not enough bandwidth or money to become awesome at all of it, right? And so this idea of going narrow means you can go deep, means you can be really, really cognizant and really, you can make each feature as best as possible. And you're not trying to just spit out as many features as possible. And so that was something at Coach Catalyst. People were like, hey, why don't you build a macro tracker? And we're like, because MacrosFirst will build it better. Right. And so why don't we just create a great way where MacrosFirst can integrate with Coach Catalyst? And so, yes, your clients will have to use 2 apps. It's not the end of the world. I've never had a client stop working with me because they had to track in MacrosFirst, and then they were also using our Coach Catalyst app. Like, it's never happened. People have 70 billion apps on their phone. The biggest key that I've found is actually getting the apps to their home screen, not allowing the apps to sit in their library or sit on page 70, get it so it's right in front of them. So when they open their phone, they see it, and then that's that cue for them to track or for them to check in or whatever. And so one of the reasons why MacrosFirst is our favorite is because one is support. So support is really important to us at Coach Catalyst. And so if there's an issue, I want to be able to get a hold of someone at MacrosFirst very quickly and be able to solve it. I can't do that with MyFitnessPal. Jacob, his team is in our Slack channel, which allows us to be able to communicate quickly on users and then solve things rather than sending a ticket into MyFitnessPal and maybe hoping that one day they get back to me, which they never do and never will. And so we can't make sure that we're ensuring a great user experience for our coaches and their clients. So we decided to go deep with MacrosFirst, and we have a 2-way integration because that was the biggest thing. Is like, how do we make this really, really easy for coaches? Because as a coach, you want to be able to see all your clients and be able to click in, see their food logs, see trends, see dailies, see 7-day averages, all of that kind of stuff. But you also want to be able to like adjust things for a client rather than like telling the client, hey, can you adjust your macros to X, Y, and Z? It's just like, we'll change it. Send them a quick message. Hey, adjust your macros. So you're going to see that on your app now. So that was a really cool thing. And one of the reasons why we felt like MacrosFirst was the right partner for us in this endeavor.
Yeah, that just goes to, we try to make food logging seamless. And like what you just described, Trevor, the relationship between Coach Catalyst and MacrosFirst is part of that. Like if I'm a client working with a coach and, Coach Trevor has updated for me my targets, that is not seamless to get an email from Coach Trevor that says, hey, Jacob, here's your new target. And for me to pull up my app, whether it's MacrosFirst or anything else, and go to profile, go to goals, click edit, copy pasta over, the new target. So yes, this is just like one niche minor example, but like really, nice of creating this like seamless bidirectional experience. And I want to add one more thing too. You said like, no one's ever, a client's never been like, coach, I have to use 2 different apps. My coaching one and then my like client side utility for God knows what, nutrition or otherwise. But I want to add, there are absolutely clients that when the platform has built all the bells and whistles into it have said, no, I'm not switching. I'm not switching from my MyFitnessPal or MacrosFirst or Chronometer with my
Yeah.
10 years of custom recipes and meals and everything to like start over in your new platform just because it's what the coach wants. Like
Yep.
it actually introduces reverse friction. So my advice to like all coaches and all like makers of coach, management software like yourself is like, let the client BYOT, bring your own tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most important part that, your software is solving primarily like the problem for the coach to be able to see all things in one place. And it's like,
Yep.
that's a very noble problem. Stay focused on it. Don't bother yourself with, or as a coach, especially too, like if you've got a client are you really going to turn away a prospective client because they're tracking in MyFitnessPal or something?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. You'd never do that. Right. So like,
Yeah.
A software that is opinionated in that way, I think is really kind of undermines, it introduces friction. There's no reason for that.
Right.
So.
And that's one thing that we talk about constantly at Coach Catalyst is how do we reduce friction, both for the coach and for the client? Because those are the points those are the points when, if we were to try to do everything, there would be more friction within the system. It wouldn't work as well as it could because there aren't the resources to be able to make that as awesome as it could be. And so when you get a lot of bloat or you go really wide, that's what tends to happen. It's more of an average experience rather than a great experience in two places. So I would rather have a client have two apps, have an incredible experience in both apps, than have one app and have kind of a mediocre, a 6 out of 10 experience type of thing.
Totally. I completely agree.
So let's talk a little bit about the future, because this is, one of the reasons that we love working with you guys is because you're constantly evolving and your goal is to make the most incredible tracker on planet Earth, right? And you're continually iterating and making this thing better and better and better and better. And so give me like one or two things that are maybe in, like, let's call it your short roadmap, because any tech world, we have the long roadmap where these are the things we'd like to do in the next year or so. But let's say like the next 3 to 6 months, what are some things that we might see coming out with MacrosFirst?
So we are at like the final lap of our marathon or whatever of releasing micronutrient reporting. So MacrosFirst has always been about the big macros plus like a random handful, kind of the most popular macros like potassium and iron and calcium and things like that. And we tracked about 20 total. An incomplete picture of micros, vitamins, and minerals. So we are like a week away. We've been in beta test, a closed beta test for the last couple months with this, or not, about a month, sorry. And so we're very close to introducing 57 nutrients into the app in a completely new reporting experience. So you would be able to navigate and check out like your intake over time of these 57 nutrients, see your top sources per nutrient, go through like custom charting and reporting over time, set custom goals. So if you have like a unique target for iron, including the ability to set optional like minimum thresholds, maximum thresholds, actual goal targets, like a totally customized experience around micronutrient reporting, all of which is also syncing to Coach Catalyst. So it's available as well. Super excited about that. It's also introducing as part of this a new food logging flow. It's a little hard to describe, but I probably really shouldn't try. But just know that food logging, we've redesigned like all of the food detail pages, the add food pages, even like what a food looks like on your daily log, and we've built this new logging keyboard, numpad, that just makes it so much easier to like select and change between different serving sizes with fewer taps, and it's just more intuitive.
So that's right there. Like what you just said is why we love MacrosFirst. That is like one of your core features is food logging. And you are like revamping one of your core features because you probably found, hey, there's an easier way to do this. There's a better way to do this. We can create less friction in this process. Where a lot of companies will just like, oh, it's a core feature. It works really well. Like it gets the job done, but it's like, it's an 8 out of 10 experience, but here's how we make it a 10 out of 10 experience. And we're going to go through the headache, which is revamping core functionality inside of a platform to make it better. Totally.
Yeah. I'm stoked for it. It's probably my like favorite part of, even though Micros is about the new micronutrient reporting, like just the new way of logging foods is I'm so excited. It's just made it so much more seamless for me. And we've kind of married the two together. This may be a nerd out thing that only I care about, but like you can now do that reverse engineer serving size thing on any nutrient. So if you're trying to optimize your omega-6s, cool. You can like, from your food, from your piece of fish, type in, I want this much omega-6, and boink, it'll like give you the required serving size.
Right.
So so it's kind of cool that we're like, kind of putting all of our pieces together with the new metrics as well.
Man,
so
this is awesome. I'm super stoked for that stuff to come out, and then our team will get to work on all of the back end micro things to make it easier for coaches to see all that. So just so that coaches know, MacrosFirst is free. And the cool thing about your free version is it includes everything that you need as a coach to coach your clients for free. And then you do have a paid version because companies do need to make money to pay people, right? And that paid version just adds into more functionality. So just 2 minutes, just tell us a little bit about the free version versus the paid version.
Yeah, so I mentioned a ton of features that are in the free version. Just to call out some of that are in the paid. All of that AI search stuff, so like image, voice, that's part of premium. We also, part of that is the ability to import a recipe from a website, which is actually really cool. So if you're like, on New York Times Cooking, you can it'll pull in all the ingredients, the serving size, the name, the preparation instructions. That's part of premium. Some of our more fancy charting around like nutrition trends over time are part of premium. So meaning everybody can view like the past 7 days. It's like on the dashboard of average intake and whatnot. But if you wanted to see your trends over time, including like top sources, that's part of premium. A few smaller things. Macro math is a kind of cool feature too. This actually, some coaches are very passionate about this, but you can actually control in MacrosFirst how you want to see calories reported, going by the nutrition label and what it says, or calculating them from the macros. Where protein, carb are four calories each.
Yeah,
exactly. So you can like choose how you want to see calories reported everywhere. That's part of premium, and the ability to like export your data. So if you wanted to download your food log or sync it to Google Sheets, that's paid. And that's one of the nice things about being a Coach Catalyst coach is the ability to export your data is part of the integration and free. A client does not need to pay for that.
Right.
It's just what they get by virtue of being a Coach Catalyst coach client.
I love it. That's awesome. We've created a few things. I know for people that are in the Facebook group and you're a Coach Catalyst user, do we still using the Google form to be able to sign up as a coach?
Yeah. So for all Coach Catalyst coaches, we're happy to give you a year of premium for free, so you can check it out, and then also get like a custom branded discount code if you wish to share with your clients.
Cool.
So you could have like Coach Trevor, that gets them 25% off premium.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure to drop that in kind of the description for this video. And Jacob's in our Facebook group too, so just make sure you tag him if you have a question.
Yeah.
What's
up, Paul?
More than happy to jump in there and say what's up. So I know you got another one, Jacob, to jump to. So feel free to just jump off. I'm going to close this thing out.
All right. Appreciate it. Great seeing you, Trevor. Take care.
See you, brother. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so I'm going to throw that stuff in the description. We're going to do the form for MacrosFirst if you want to check that out. Emma has also created a Canva MacrosFirst guide for your clients. So if you want to use MacrosFirst with your clients and you want a cool little Canva guide that you can brand and do all of that kind of stuff, I believe it is free, that you can use, put your stuff on, add some more to it, and then it's just kind of a cool little handy guide for clients to be able to do that. Supercoach CRM users, you have your 5-day macro mastery lead magnet is ready to rock and roll. The funnel for that one. Remember, Coach Catalyst users, we've got the 5-day Coach Catalyst program for macro mastery as a lead gen for new clients. We will be dropping a bigger fun program probably next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I think I'm forgetting something. Oh, the calculator. So if you're a Supercoach CRM user, we built the macro calculator so a client can put in all of their credentials, their weight, their body fat percentage, if they know it, their height, activity levels, all of that. And it's going to spit out the macros, give them a really cool report, show them also the fists and palms and thumbs and that kind of stuff as well, if you're more of like a PN style visual type coach. So yeah, look for all of that stuff. And you have questions, if you want anything, I can't see any of the comments for some reason. And so I will get to all of those after the show. But if you do have anything, just make sure you tag me in the group, and I'm more than happy to help however we can or however I can. So that is it. That is it for a Tuesday. My name is Trevor. I'm the CEO of Coach Catalyst, and I'm here every Tuesday at 12. helping you guys build better businesses. So have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later.